of a feature that exists will give you edit sketch. You go to select it. You can also double click on any face of a feature that exists and see just about everything that was used to create that feature. We've got one black dimension, 2 inches, the diameter of that circle. We've got a 1.5 that is the depth in direction 1, a 10 degrees for the 10-degree draft in direction 1. There's a 1 inch. There's a 20 degrees, and if I want to modify any of those from here, I can. Let's say the 20 degree, I'll just make that 40. And I'll hit. We talked about this modify box and regenerate. If I regenerate here and see what it's like, say, oh no, I didn't want that, I can hit the red X. And I have to rebuild here. Get it to go back to where it was. That rebuild button's up along the top. So again, if I double click on any feature, any face of an existing feature, I can get hold of those, all those dimensions used to create it. There are, however, on this part, 2 flat faces. Click outside that and put all those dimensions away. Sometimes I do things without even really thinking about it. Double click on there and they show up. Click out in the graphics area away from those and they go away. But if I click on this face here, not only do I have the exit sketch, but I've got the opportunity to make a new sketch. You think about it, like I told you at the beginning, SOLIDWORKS wants us to sketch on flat surfaces, flat planes, or flat faces of a part. And I highly recommend, just like we did in that first lab project, to select faces of a part and not one of the 3 planes that you see here while you're going about creating a part. You have to start with one of those planes. You may not have to, but that's going too deep. But after that, faces of the part are what you want to select. So, I'm going to rotate this part around using that mouse wheel as my rotate button. I'm going to click on the back face of the part and start a sketch. You know that I'm going to sketch because I see these 2 icons here. We can see the origin on the face of the part. Now I'm going to select this diameter. I clicked off of that face, by the way. It's no longer selected, but we are still in that sketch. I'm going to click this edge right here. In the sketch toolbar, there's a tool called Convert Entity. As I select that, what it does is takes that edge I had pre-selected and brings it out to my sketch plane, which was out on this face. So now, this has got a relation on it called onEdge. It shows the edge that I had selected. It's just a circle from which I can make a feature. Let's take that with that circle highlighter, created, I should say, that sketch created, and go to Extruded Boss Base, and it'll create a pin. Now we can put draft on this if we want, but I think I'm going to stay away from draft right now. I'm going to make this, let's say, 2 inches long one so that we can see it real clearly. It looks like it's drafted, the angle that I'm looking at anyway, but as I rotate it around, I can realize, no, that's just an optical illusion for my graphics, and I can be sure of it here because that draft button is not selected. And by the way, if I selected it, doesn't matter what I put on there, as long as I select the button again, it turns the draft off. It'll remember what angle I had last selected, but for right now I'm going to leave that off, and I'll click OK. So I created this last surface, let's just call it, I should get in the habit of renaming things, I suppose. Well, for now I'm not going to. I want to take away from it too much, but let's take a look at that feature as I go to change the first one. If I double click on any surface of the first one, let's say that 10 degrees, I'll double click that and make this, I think I'm going to have to make it pretty radical. Let's just try 15 for now. And I'll hit the regenerate button in this modify box. Kind of move it up here. We'll take a look at what happens with the whole model. It'll regenerate that feature. I don't know if you saw that pin get smaller in diameter or not. Maybe I need to make this more radical in terms of angle. Let's say 25. I'm not sure that this is going to get hard to tell or not. I'll regenerate from here. Watch this pin back here and see if it changes the diameter. Definitely does. I could also change this pretty radically by changing this dimension here, the 1.5. If I make that 2 inches. And notice that when I just type 2, I don't type in a decimal point. I don't want to hit enter. I want to use that regenerate that's now been hidden.